Sometimes in our HTML documents, we run into information that we need to provide to users that are accessing our website in the form of lists. Now, just like in this Word document I've got open here that we've been using in the videos, we can add lists to our HTML documents as well. For this example right here, I've already added an unordered list right here. And unordered means that it's not A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, meaning that there's no order to this list. It's simply just a list. Any of these items could happen in any order. They just happen to be in this order, and the order is not important. We can also do ordered lists inside of HTML, just like we're doing in this document, using a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, we've got to decide on our website, build the website, then deploy the website. So obviously, ordered lists, things have to happen or be listed in a specific order. Just like this, these items could not happen in any other order. You first have to know what kind of website you want to build, then you have to build it, then you can deploy it. So it has to happen in this order. So those are ordered lists. Oops, I don't want to save that. All right. So going back to our HTML document that we've been working on in the last couple of videos, let's go back to this, and inside of our HTML structure, we're kind of following the Netlify structure. Let's say that down here in this production deploys, we've got ourselves a list of deploys that have happened. So let's kind of mimic what we've got right here in our own website. So down here in the deploy previews, the production deploys, that's where we're at. Let's create an ordered list, because these did happen in a specific order, because they're ordered based on time. And this is a list, although it doesn't look like a traditional list like we see here inside of our Word document. But that's because HTML, we can use CSS with our HTML to make it look this way, even though it may be a list. Same thing happens usually up here inside of these navigations. A lot of times these are actually unordered lists that have been formatted with CSS to go horizontally instead of vertically. But we won't get that complex right now. Let's just kind of create a list of this inside of our own website really quick. So let's do that. In our production deploy section, now we're going to do an ordered list because we do know that those happened in order based on timestamps. So OL stands for an ordered list. So that is the HTML tag that begins an ordered list inside of our document. Inside of lists, we need to use what are called list items. So list items are what we actually see in our list when it shows up in the web page. So if we're doing our production deploys, let's just go ahead and make up our own. Let's say 8:35 a.m. and we deployed 1, 2, 3 QWE. So that is our deployment. And let's do another list item. And let's say at 9:35 a.m. we deployed 456 RTW. Now I'm just making this up, of course. It's just contrived information. And then at 10:32, man, I really like half an hour's, don't I? We deployed some 789 UIO. And that is our deployment. So this should give us an ordered list. And then we want to do an unordered list. So where can we put an unordered list? Let's say getting started in our getting started section. And then let's just go ahead and, just like our Word document, let's just add this ordered list of the technologies we need to use. So let's do that really quick. Getting started, and then let's do an H4, and let's say technologies to use. And then let's give ourselves an unordered list. So unordered list, as you can probably guess, is UL for unordered list. And then the same as anything else that has to do with lists, we're going to use a list item, just like we did in the ordered list. It's really the type of list that our list items live in that determines whether it's just a dot or if it follows a 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. And unordered list, let's go back to our Word document. We use HTML. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this and just add a couple of them in here. We're going to do HTML, CSS, and we're going to do JavaScript. And then we said we needed a web server and the internet. So web server and the internet. Save that. All right. So now we have ourselves an unordered list as well as an ordered list inside of our document. And now we know how to list items inside of our documents. But we want to take a look at this. And a lot of the times we don't want to wait for a production deploy to happen for us to see what we're doing locally. We want to be able to test our website as we're developing it and see the changes. And we don't want to deploy half-finished stuff to our website. So what we're going to do right now is instead of deploying to production, we're going to wait to deploy until after we have tested this and make sure that it looks the way we want it to look. For that to happen, we need to use a plugin in Visual Studio Code. And that plugin is called Preview on Web Server. So make sure you go over here in your left-hand column to the extensions. And then once you're in the extensions, you can search for the extensions and search for Preview on Web Server, and then go ahead and tell it to install. Now I've already installed mine, so I'm good to go. Why don't you pause the video, install this Preview on Web Server, and once you've got that done, let's start back up. All right. So with that plugin installed, I should be able to right-click on my HTML page, and down here I've got a Preview Server Launch on Browser. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And on my local browser, it's going to go ahead and run a local web server that it's set up for me that I don't have to maintain or take care of, and it loaded my index.html for me. And so now, anytime we make changes to our HTML page, whether we're messing with HTML for the structure or messing with CSS, we can test it locally to make sure it looks the way we want to and everything's perfect before we deploy it to Netlify or to a web server. So here's our local version. You can see it says localhost 8080. And then here is the version that we have live on production through Netlify. And you can see the URLs are different. All right. So we've got ourselves our unordered list, and we can see that it uses dots. And then we have our ordered list of production deploys over here. Let's see if I can make that bigger for you. All right. And based on what we're after, I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger with a Control Plus. Oh, that's a little too big. See the difference? Very similar, but we've added this new content right here and right here to our page. Well, we've just tested it. It looks great. This is an unordered list like we expected, and this is an ordered list like we expected. So let's go ahead and let's run through a deployment of what we just did. And since we've seen this before, I'm not going to go into depth of it, so I'm going to do a git status. See that my index was modified. I'm going to do git add it to my change set. I'm going to do a git commit -m, added lists to index. And then I'm going to go ahead and push. That sends it up to our web server, well, up to Netlify. And then Netlify, once it is notified, it'll then send it. So our repository shows that it has been updated about 15 seconds ago. Refresh my Netlify website. We'll see that added list to index has been pulled and pushed. So now when I refresh this page, it's a little bit big. Let's go down a little bit. It should be identical to this one. Here, we'll make them the same size. There we go. Identical. So what is on production is now identical to what is on my local web server. So everything looks like it went great. My deployment went great. My content is identical, and we are good to move on.